So one day, a man bought a lie detecting robot that would slap anyone who lies. He's sitting in his living room when his son walks in the front door. The dad asks, "Where you been, son?" The son replies, "I went to watch the new Kung Fu Panda movie." The robot comes and slaps the son. So dad says, "Son, the robot slaps anyone who lies. Now tell me the truth." So his son finally admits, "Dad, I actually went to watch an R-rated film. I'm sorry." So dad starts scolding him, saying, "Is this how we raised you, son? Watching filth? I have never done anything like this at your age." The robot comes and slaps the dad. Seeing this, the mom walks in and says, "What did you expect? He's your son after all." So the robot comes and slaps the mom.
So 3 young women, an American, a French woman, and an African lady, find themselves in a plane hurtling towards a potential crash. As the tension grips the cabin, they each devise their own unique strategies for survival. The American begins applying makeup with precision. "In times of crisis," she declares confidently, "rescuers will always prioritize a beautiful girl." Not one to be outdone, the French woman swiftly decides to contribute her own survival strategy. She unhooks her bra and says, "Rescuers will save a girl with beautiful breasts first." Meanwhile, the African friend observes the unfolding spectacle with amusement. As the others focus on enhancing their external appeal, she slyly removes her knickers and remarks, "Well, I've heard they always start looking for the black box first."
So our teacher asked what my favorite animal was, and I said, "Fried chicken." She said I wasn't funny, but she couldn't have been right because everyone else laughed. My parents told me to always tell the truth. I did. Fried chicken is my favorite animal. I told my dad what happened, and he said that she was probably a member of animal rights organization. He said they love animals very much. I do too, especially chicken, pork, and beef. Anyway, my teacher sent me to the principal's office. I told him what happened, and he laughed too. Then he told me not to do it again. The next day in class, the teacher asked me what my favorite live animal was. I told her it was chicken. She asked me why, so I told her it was because you could make them into fried chicken. She sent me back to the principal's office. He laughed and told me not to do it again. I don't understand. My parents taught me to be honest, but my teacher doesn't like it when I am. Today, she asked me what famous military person I admired the most, and I said Colonel Saunders. Guess where I got sent next? So a nun walks into Mother Superior's office and plunks down into a chair. She lets out a sigh heavy with frustration. "What troubles you, sister?" asked the Mother Superior. "I thought this was the day you spent with your family." "It was," sighed the sister. "And I went to play golf with my brother. We try to play golf as often as we can. You know, I was quite a talented golfer before I devoted my life to Christ." I seem to recall that the Mother Superior agreed. "So I take it your day of recreation was not relaxing?" "Far from it," snorted the sister. "In fact, I even used the F word today." "Goodness, sister," gasped the Mother Superior, astonished. "You must tell me all about it." "Well, we were on the 5th tee, and this hole is a monster. Mother 540-yard par 5 with a nasty dogleg left and a hidden green. And I hit the drive of my life. I creamed it. The sweetest swing I ever made, and it's flying straight and true, right along the line I wanted. And it hits a bird in mid-flight. "Oh my goodness," said the mother. "How unfortunate. But surely that didn't make you blaspheme, sister." "No, that wasn't it," admitted sister. "While I was still trying to fathom what had happened, this squirrel runs out of the woods, grabs my ball, and runs off down the fairway. That would have made me blaspheme," sympathized the mother. "But I didn't, mother," sobbed the sister, "and I was so proud of myself. And while I was pondering whether this was a sign from God, this hawk swoops out of the sky and grabs the squirrel and flies off, with my ball still clutched in his paws." "So that's when you cursed," said the mother with a knowing smile. "Nope, that wasn't it either," cried the sister, anguished, because as the hawk started to fly out of sight, the squirrel started struggling, and the hawk dropped him right there on the green, and the ball popped out of his paws and rolled to about 18 inches from the cup. Mother Superior sat back in her chair, folded her arms across her chest, fixed the sister with a baleful stare, and said, "You missed the effing putt, didn't you?" So, Johnny and his wife Jane were happily married for years. The only friction in their marriage was Johnny's habit of farting loudly every morning. When he awoke, the noise would wake his wife, and the smell would make her eyes water and make her gasp for air. Every morning, she would plead with him to stop ripping them off because it was making her sick. He told her he couldn't stop it and that it was perfectly natural. She told him to see a doctor. She was concerned that one day he would blow his guts out. The years went by and he continued to rip them out. Then one Christmas Day morning, as she was preparing the turkey for dinner and he was upstairs sound asleep, she looked at the innards, neck, gizzard, liver, and all the spare parts, and a malicious thought came to her. She took the bowl and went upstairs where her husband was sound asleep, and, gently pulling the bed covers back, she pulled back the elastic waistband of his underpants and emptied the bowl of turkey guts into his shorts. Sometime later, she heard her husband wake with his usual trumpeting, which was followed by a blood-curdling scream and the sound of frantic footsteps as he ran into the bathroom. The wife could hardly control herself as she rolled on the floor laughing. After years of torture, she reckoned she had gotten him back pretty well. About 20 minutes later, her husband came downstairs in his blood-stained underpants with a look of horror on his face. She bit her lip as she asked him what was the matter. He said, "Honey, you were right all these years. You have warned me, and I didn't listen to you." "What do you mean?" asked his wife. "Well, you always told me that one day I would end up farting my guts out, and today it finally happened. But by the grace of God, some Vaseline and 2 fingers, I think I got most of them back in."
So a kid walks into a general store, walks up to the owner, and asks for a job. The owner says, "You think you'd make a good salesman?" The kid says, "I don't know. I think so." Owner says, "I'll tell you what. Next customer comes in, you watch me. If you think you can do what I do, you have a job." A few minutes later, a customer comes in. The owner of the store says, "Can I help you?" The customer replies, "Yes, I'd like to buy a bag of grass seed." "No problem," says the owner as he reaches for a bag of grass seed. "Do you think you might want a lawnmower with that?" "Lawnmower?" asks the customer. "Yeah," says the owner. "You plant that grass seed, you're going to have a lot of grass to cut. You might want to get a lawnmower too." The customer thinks it's a great idea and agrees. The owner sells him the grass seed and the lawnmower, and the customer leaves. The owner turns to the kid and says, "See that? That's selling. The guy wanted some grass seed, and I sold him a lawnmower too. You think you can do that?" The kid says, "Yeah, I can do that." So the owner says, "Great. Next customer comes in is yours. I'll just stand here quietly and watch. We'll see how you do." A few minutes pass by and another customer comes in. The kid says, "Can I help you?" The customer says, "Yes. I'd like to buy a box of Tampax for my wife." "No problem," says the kid as he reaches for the box of Tampax. "Do you think you might want a lawnmower with that?" "Lawnmower?" says the customer. "Yeah," says the kid. "You're not going to be doing anything else for the next 7 days. You might as well cut the grass."
So, two men are enjoying a game of golf on a sunny Saturday afternoon. A funeral procession drives by, and one of the men removes his hat, stands at attention, and waits for the cars to drive by. The other man says, "That was downright respectable of you." The first man replies, "Well, we were married for 35 years. I think she deserves it." So 3 girls were roommates. One Friday night, all had gone out on dates, and by chance, they came home at the same time. The first one came in and said, with a smug look on her face, "You know you've been on a good date when you come home with your hair all messed up." The second one laughed and said, No, that's nothing. You know you've been on a good date when you come home with your makeup all smeared." The third one sat quiet with a blank stare on her face and didn't say a word for a few minutes. She then reached under her miniskirt, removed her panties, and threw them against the wall, where they stuck with a loud thud. She said, "Now that's a good date." So, 2 guys are chatting about investments. One of them says, "Hey, thanks for that tip you gave me last month. I've gone and put all my savings into that venture you mentioned." The other guy replies, "Wait, hold on. That wasn't a recommendation, pal." Confused, the first guy says, "But you told me it made you a millionaire." To which the second guy replies, "Yeah, but what I didn't mention is I used to be a billionaire." So a woman was visiting her elderly mother in a mental hospital when a guy entered the ward, waving his arms about and making beeping noises. "Excuse me," said the woman. "What are you doing?" "I'm driving my car," he replied cheerily. "Beep, beep." "But you're in a mental hospital," she tried to explain. "You're not in a car." "Don't tell him that," cried one of the janitors. "He pays me $20 a week to wash it."